I have a food truck that has a 220 cord, but when I plugged it into a 220 source, the ballast on the lights blew and my refrigerator started knocking and popped and smoked. Do I simply need to get an adapter put onto the 220 and use a 110 extension cord? And also, will it be harmful to test out the 110 if it is 220?
Welcome. My name is would be glad to assist. What type of electrical panel is in the truck? Should be labeled. That determines whether you have 120 or 240 volt needs. What cord plug do you have on the unit? There is a number printed on the plug. Let me know and we can continue. Thanks.
I will have access to this information tomorrow, but not right at this moment. Can I respond tomorrow when I find out, or should I just ask the question again and start a new thread?
Okay, not a problem. All at your convenience here. This is open until we get it all worked out, no need for any new question or anything. Bookmark the page for quick return, or when you log into the site, it will show on your My Questions list. Will await your post tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you. Although, can you answer my one question about harming anything if we plug into 110 and it is 220?
It would be difficult at this time to determine what you actually have and whether it would do anything or not. Since there was damage from the 220 connection, there could be some things that are already needing replacing before NA power is applied. We'll have to determine the impact of the 220 connection after putting all the information together. Thanks.
Okay, the source says 38125/250V. The extension cord says the same thing. Breaker box doesn't have a label, but the circuits say 20A.
Okay, hard to determine anything without the breaker panel information. Can you open the cover and get a picture or two? Post them here using the paper clip symbol on the toolbar, or upload to a free share site and give me the private link they provide to access. Thanks.
Pictures attached.
Okay, I do appreciate the time to get the pictures, but the cover is on the panel and there isn't anything to see. Need the cover removed? Maybe my post was confusing and my fault.
Pictures of the plug-in area, the cord we use to plug in, and the generator. We can use the current extension cord and plug when using the generator. Our main confusion is how to plug in a house or when an event can provide an electrical source.
Okay, thanks. You still have not provided a picture of the panel. Need a picture of the panel with the front cover removed so that the wiring inside can be seen. Make sure the pictures show all the inside area well.
I needed to get to a screwdriver.
Okay, thanks. That helps. The panel is wired for 220 volts, no question. See the black on the left terminal and the red on the right terminal. That puts power to each side of the panel. Why the breakers are all on one side, don't know. But, we need to look at the cord, I think. The cord that connects to the panel, need to loosen the screws on the plug and slide it out to see how the wires are attached inside. Maybe they did something wrong. From what you posted on what happened, it sounds like someone crossed up the wires on the plug and cord. Maybe the wrong wire in the wrong location. Panel looks correct for 220 volt power. We need to look at the terminals on all the plugs, unfortunately.
It is interesting that the 220 can function properly when plugged into the generator but not when plugged into the source.
Okay, first heard of that? See no mention of that anywhere previously. So, you have a cord that fits the inlet plug outside the truck, correct? The cord mates with a female on the cord and the male on the truck outside? Then that same cord has the male end to connect to the generator, correct? And using that cord on the generator, all worked fine. So, where is it you plugged the truck in and the problem began? Who wired the connection for the other location?
I did not see your above questions, I apologize. Yes, I have a cord, I sent you a picture of it. It is both male and female. Yes, there is in place to plug it in outside of the truck, I sent you a picture of it. It is male. Yes, using the generator has been fine. We plugged the truck in at our mechanic shop and assume it is 220. We purchased the truck, all wired, in Florida and do not know who did the electrical work. We did not plug into a 220 source prior to purchasing, only used the generator.
Okay, thanks. In order to figure this all out, since it has become a more difficult situation, is to look at the cord plugs and the wires attached. Need to see if they have one wire per terminal on all ends, including the make end in the box outside. Then we need to know what receptacle you used at the shop. This is critical. The shop may have a different voltage to the receptacle you use than normal. Some commercial has 460 volts or 208 volts. All plugs and receptacles have numbers on them, it designates what and how they are used. Those numbers help. Looking at the panel, it is wired correctly and appears to be for 240 volts. However, if a cord's plug/plugs are wired with the red and black wires on the same terminal, then that would only supply 120 volts. I know it is confusing, but since all new and no previous knowledge of the setup, we have to find out the things by looking at them. I don't want you to plug it into the generator and cause other damage to the inside equipment or to the generator. So, we need the receptacle information at the shop. The plug wiring on each end, including the male at the point of attachment outside. That should help identify what has happened. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to have an electrician take a look since this has become more confusing. It will be very helpful to give him the information that you have provided so far.
Okay, I am sure we could figure it out with a little more information. Especially if you could measure the voltage at the receptacle you used at the shop. Either the voltage is incorrect or someone has made a cord that will only match tot heat generator. I have seen it before with cords. That why you are supposed to use them as designed, and if there are differences, you buy a factory adapter. That way it works properly anywhere on either 120 or 240 volts. That is how RVs work, factory cords always, or you can damage the equipment inside the RV because they run on 120 volts, but the proper adapter allows to connect to 240 volts and no damage. Hope it helps define the issue. Thanks.
I confirmed that the shop voltage was 440, so that explains a lot. We have replaced the ballasts, and the refrigerator works. With a reduced life, I am sure, we will need to check the hot water heater and the AC and exhaust fan when we plug in safely. I have a question that relates to how we plug in at an event, since we have now established that we have 220. Most places will not have 220, so does that mean we will need to use our generator at most events? Or, Were you saying above that there is a way to plug into a 110 outlet with use of an adapter and get our equipment to work properly and safely? I'm sorry, should I start a new conversation and request you again?
Okay, that definitely explains the power issue. The receptacle at the shop being 440 volts is wrong, it should have a different one that is rated for 440 volts. It should be changed. The voltages dictate the exact receptacle to be used, and with 220, it is different than the one used with 440. This eliminates the crossing of voltages and doing what happened to you. Now own the power. If you have nothing in the food truck that operates on 220 volts, then you can make an adapter. I did not see any double pole breakers in the panel picture, but that doesn't mean there isn't something, even though it should. You can actually purchase an adapter like RVRS use to plug their RV into a multiple of receptacles at the parks. What it does, is combine the two power legs into one connection. So, instead of two power legs, you use one and 120 volts. But, you need to read your plug and get the number off of it to get a match. Copy and paste the link below to see some factory cords for this situation. http://www.adventure.net/electrical power cords adapters C22_68.html. Thanks.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert, now visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.